Hi everyone, my name is Aaron, and for this video, I want to talk about something I've been thinking about doing. And I got this idea when I used to watch anime. There was this one YouTube channel. He did this about once a year. He would send out a poll with a list of about 30 anime, and people would vote on that list. And then during one specific week, he would put out a review for the top five vote getters from that poll. And so I thought about doing something very similar to that. So for this summer, I'm doing an End of Summer Game-athon. So what's going to happen, I'm going to send out a poll, and on this poll is going to be a list of 25 games. And I invite everyone to pull up the poll and select up to 10 games that you would like to see us play. And then at some point, maybe the last week or so before summer ends, we will release gameplay videos for the top 7 vote getters. So that we'll release one on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, through Saturday. So the 25 games I chose are all games that I have not played yet. Some of them I just recently purchased, and others I've had for a while. I have not played as many games over the past year, but I'm really looking forward to getting these to the table. So with all that being said, let's get started. Okay, first up on the list, we're going in alphabetical orders. And also, I will not be voting in this poll. The only reason I might make a decision is if we have ties. I do not plan on putting out more than one video a day during that week. So if there are ties for 7th place, I will just make an executive decision at that point. All right, back to the games. First up on the list is Autobahn. Let's see, designed by Fabio Lopiano. And a lot of these names I'm probably going to butcher. Nestor Mangone, and published by Cat Games. The idea of this game is it kind of follows the history of the German highway network. Let's see, let's turn this over. In this game, you are building these highways through Germany. What's really cool, it starts in the early days of the highway system. Now, at this time, the eastern part of Germany is actually blocked off because of the Berlin Wall. And then at some point later on in the game, the eastern side of the map becomes available. It's supposed to have this really interesting card play. So I'm looking forward to getting this to the table. All right, next up on the list is Bark Avenue. I just purchased this at BGG Spring 2026. Now, you are walking dogs through, I believe this is New York City. And kind of like a lot of games like, say, Wingspan, you have all these cards with different types of dogs on them. And you will be walking them through the streets. You'll be cleaning up their poop, and I think giving them dog treats and earning money. So if you want to see, I guess you could call this a coast game. If you like to see a lot harder game, vote for Bark Avenue. All right, next on the list is Brass Lancashire. I actually purchased both Brass Lancashire and Birmingham, but I'm only going to put one of the Brass games on this list. So might as well start with Lancashire, which is the remake, I believe, of the original Brass game, but with a lot better graphic design. The idea is it takes place, let's see, I believe it takes place in England's Industrial Revolution in the 17 to 1800s. And there's a map on the board, and I believe you're using these cards to build these factories and shipyards. And in the process, you're also building this network of canals through, I believe it's the first half of the game, and then you basically continue playing the game at some point, but now you're building railroads instead of canals. So it's a very highly regarded game, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing this one. Okay, next up is Come Sail Away from Sashi and Sashi. Those who are not familiar with this designer, this is very typical, this art design with their games. Now, seems like a lot of their games that I have seen usually come in much smaller packages. So this is one of the bigger games that they have released. But the idea, I believe, is that you are operating a cruise line. Let's see. So there's the cruise ship and the various guests. Comes to the way. Okay, long distance ocean routes for luxury cruise ships. Let's see. Players play as the cabin crew of the cruise ship, guiding passengers to their cabins and facilities. So if this sounds interesting to you, give this a vote. Here we have Cooper Island, which, if you saw my video talking about BGG Spring 2026, you would have heard this mentioned. We actually sort of played this at the end of BGG Spring 2025. Not really. What we did is we had just a little bit of time before the end of the convention to basically set this up, play like the very first part of the game, and that's it. Basically to get a taste of how the game plays a little bit, and that's about it. Just to get a little sample to see if this is a game that we would foresee us playing. And we did, so we ended up purchasing it, but still haven't gotten it to the table to actually play the whole thing. It's supposed to be a rather complex game, but the idea is we have come upon this uncharted island, and I believe we are basically exploring the island, gathering resources. Each player has boats that go one clockwise, another counterclockwise around the island, gaining bonuses. Exploring the island, but also rich strategies and subtle mechanics. And I in particular like this type of game, especially if it's a tight resource management. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really like those type of games. So if y'all want to see a gameplay of this, give this a vote. All right, next on the list is Ezra and Nehemiah. This is based on the biblical account where the Israelites returned from exile in Babylon. They returned to Israel to rebuild the walls and the temple. And I'm really looking forward to this game. It's not just the biblical theme, but also it's a highly regarded biblical game. And, a lot of biblical, not just games, but movies, other forms of entertainment are not known to be of the highest quality. And this is one of the few exceptions. It's published by, or designed by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald from, it says Renegade. I thought this was Garfield Games, but maybe I am, nope, it is Garfield Games. Yeah, they're known for the, what's it called? The Paladin, the West Kingdom trilogy, and I think there's 2 other trilogy games that they are well known for. And supposedly this game is supposed to be kind of a greatest hits. They took some of their very popular mechanisms and put them all in one game. As you can see from the story, it's follows the account of the Israelites. I say their return to Israel. In this game, you are in Israel. You are building up the wall and contributing to the temple and the sacrifices, teaching Torah. And so I'm really looking forward to getting this one to the table. All right, next up is First in Fly. I believe this is a push your luck game with the theme is the early days of flying, and the idea is to construct a flying machine, not literally, obviously, but using these cars that represent parts of your plane. You want to basically fly the furthest with either before crashing or without crashing. And yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, give this a vote. All right, next up is Fromage. I do have the standalone expansion Formaggio, but I have not played Fromage or Formaggio, so and you'll see this with this list if there's an expansion, even if I have in some cases I have the base game and the expansion, but since I have not played it, typically I like to start with just the base game. And so in this case, I'm only putting Fromage on this list. And as you can see, this is a game about cheese. Oh. And everyone has these figures. They're standing on a yellow piece of hard cheese, a white piece of soft cheese, and I think there's another one that's blue that represents your blue cheese. And if I understand correctly, each of these 4 sections of this, I think it's a Lazy Susan, because I believe it turns as the game goes around. And so you'll be playing on a different section each round. But in each one of these is basically its own mini game. You're going to be placing one of your, I think one of your figures out here, and to earn points by the end of the game. And so if the cheese theme appeals to you, give this one a vote. All right, next on the list is a more abstract game called Glux, Light Your Way. It's, is it Glux or Glux? Well, I'm just going to call it Glux for right now. I don't think this is a very easy to find game, so I was very happy when someone at this year's virtual flea market for BGG Spring decided to sell it. And this may be the one exception to the expansion rule, because it did come with an expansion that's basically just adding a few chips to the game. That I'm not too concerned about playing from the start. But from what I understand, you're playing these chips onto the board, trying to gain control of these light areas. And I believe where you place the token, the number represents how far away you can place it, or I don't know if it has to, I believe it's what the number you're playing has to be that many spaces away from a previous token. So like, as you see, this purple 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces from this one, and this 6 is 1, 2, okay. That is not correct. Oh, I think I have that backwards. Okay, here's the 6. 1, 2, 3. They would have placed the 4 right here, and then this next one right here. And I believe that is how this plays. Let's see. Each player tries to play the brightest light tokens in different areas on the board. Who can place his light tokens the cleverest and will illuminate the most areas. So if that seems interesting to you, give Glux a vote. And the last from this pile is a very highly regarded game called Grand Austria Hotel. I do have the expansion, but again, this is just the base game that is up for vote. It's pretty heavy with one hand. Okay. The idea, it's very similar to Come Sail Away, and only in this case you're running a hotel and you're trying to you're going to be serving various customers, maybe drinks or treats, and also I don't know if you're, I guess, escorting or sending them to these to their hotel rooms. And it has a very unique dice drafting mechanism, which I believe you draft one of these dice, and the one you draft, where you draft it from determines the action, but also the strength of the action, which is based on how many of the dice are other dice of that number are still there, if my understanding is correct. But this is a highly regarded game, so if you've heard of this but have never played it, or if you just want to, you like this game and want to see it played, give this a vote. Whew, okay, this was the, oh, that was almost a disaster. This was the heavy set of 5. But starting right here, we have the Granja. This is the Deluxe Master Set. The Granja is a farming game, a very highly regarded farming game, and this is the, I don't know if this is second or third edition, but this is a re-released deluxe version of the game that I was able to find a really good deal online for it. Let me see if I can flip this around while still holding this phone. There we go. Resourceful owners build them the small farms and keep them, and while almost all of them are places of royal bliss, only one of them can become the most prosperous, the most famous, and the most respected country estate. Only one of them can become La Granja. Let's see, there's this center board and individual player boards. I think there's customization of cards that can be tucked underneath for each player board. It has lots of modular expansions, of course, for this deluxe version, but I'm only going to play the base game. But again, I know this is if you like the farming theme, I know this is a highly regarded game, so looking forward to getting this to the table. All right, flip over. There we go. Boom. All right. Next up, Great Western Trail, Argentina. Now, I have played the original Great Western Trail. In fact, I still have it, and the Rails to the North expansion. It's one of my favorite games. A few years ago, designer Alexander Pfister rebooted the Great Western Trail series. So they released a second edition of Great Western Trail. I don't have it. I don't plan on getting the second edition. I'm very much happy with my first edition. But the Great Western Trail Argentina is the second in the series of Great Western Trail games, and I'm looking forward to getting this to the table. Like with Great Western Trail, you are basically placing your own buildings on this map and basically creating the ideal trail from the start point to the end point to deliver your hand of cattle to earn points. And I believe there's also a farmer technique that is new that did not exist in the original game. So I really like Great Western Trail, so I'm definitely looking forward to the Argentina version. All right, next up, Craftwagon, Age of Engineering by Matthias Kramer. And I believe this has to do with the early days of car design. I believe you're engineering a car design, and also you can or might be able to also have your car featured in a race. Let's see if we can learn more about this. It's been a while since I've looked at this. Okay, it follows the North American automobile industry. Let's see, Craftwagon, you'll push the development of new engines and car bodies with which to launch the best possible range of vehicles on the market, and also demonstrate the power of your engines in the early Grand Prix races. So if you like this early car theme, then give Craftwagon a vote. Whew, now for the two large ones in this group. All right, first up is Luthier, The Art of the Instrument. Look at that beautiful artwork by Vincent Dutrait. So beautiful. And the theme of this game is that you are a musical instrument, I think designer, but also repairman. Back in the, I don't know if this is 1700s. It features famous composers, and what you want to do is you want to fulfill these requests for various instruments, and you want your instruments to be featured in this orchestra. There are these various historical figures. Let's see, I think that zoom in. I think that's Tchaikovsky right there. There are these various instrument cards in the game that I believe represent the instruments that you can craft. I believe this was released last year and was very highly regarded. Love the music theme, and so I'm really looking forward to getting this to the table. Find true harmony. Transports players to the height of classical music in Western Europe. So, if you like this thing, go ahead and give Lumiere a vote. And the last of these big games, or at least in this palette, I don't think I have too many of these massive boxes on my list of 25. But next we have Nippon Zaibatsu. So Nippon, which takes place in Japan, I believe the 1800s. It follows the development of Japan into a more industrialized, I guess you could say, nation. Nippon, there was an original game called Nippon, and I believe it's been out of print. This is the new re-release that came out. I have not played Nippon or this new Nippon Zaibatsu game. Definitely looking forward to getting it to the table. Everyone has their own player board. The main board is a map of Japan. See, yep, middle of the 19th century. Japan realizes how far behind the West they are. And the Meiji Restoration ushered in a rapid industrial revolution based on Zaibatsu, conglomerates of closely related companies. So it's an economic strategy game. So if you like the idea of that with a Japanese theme or setting to it, give this a vote. All right, next up on this list is Perch. It's kind of an interesting looking bird, but I think it's very fitting from it. So while it does have a bird thing, from what I understand, this can get pretty intense. Let's flip it over so you can kind of see what's going on. So my understanding of this game is that you have these various spots, and each one of these basically each of these cards awards points in different ways. And my understanding of this game is you have these colorful birds. You are a specific color, like in many games. But what's interesting is you're going to draw birds from a bag. And the thing is, you may draw your own birds. You may draw other people's birds. And then place them where you want. So hopefully someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's basically the gameplay. So I think you can understand how this can supposedly get very intense when someone's playing your birds where you don't want them to. But I also know this is a highly regarded game as well. Don't let this cozy homestead fool you. Get ready for winged warfare. So this sounds interesting. You give this a vote. All right, next up. Now, this one is definitely a cozy game. This is Pergola, the same publisher that produced Meadow. So, as you can see, very beautiful. The idea here is I'm not going to feel good about the fact that I just turned this upside down because I know these bits and pieces are not sealed in the box. But the idea here is you're going to be, on your turn, you're going to draft one of these tools. And each tool will give you some sort of item like lavender or these various plants. And maybe something else, as well as give you an action such as moving one of your drops down this waterfall. And you're basically building up this backyard by putting these various plants and formations to earn points, putting various insects on them, and each one scores differently. It's just a create the most beautiful garden and win. That's basically it. It's just a cozy, create your garden and score points. Nothing too offensive or intense here. So basically the exact opposite of Purge. So if that sounds more like what you would like to see, give Pergola a vote. All right, next we have Raising Chicago. This is published by Capstone Games. They're one of, if not my favorite, publishers. And the theme from this, I believe, has to do with Chicago. Was it the 19th century or early 20th century? Let's see. Yeah, during the 19th century. Evidently, because of the elevation of Chicago, evidently sanitation was an issue. And so the solution that was proposed, and I believe actually put in place, was they actually raised the buildings a few levels in Chicago, and then built the street up, and then built the sewer underneath. Other buildings were moved outside of the city, and that is the theme behind this game. You're going to be placing your little tiles out here, which are supposed to represent you building up these buildings and scoring points. And I think there's some special buildings that you can also they're supposed to represent you moving them outside of the city or outside the area where they were and scoring points. Yeah, these are the player tiles. You have a certain number, and it has an auction-like mechanism where how many tiles you're willing to give up is your bid. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this to the table. So if that sounds interesting to you, give this a vote. Okay, next up we have Raising Robots. Has a very almost kid-like appearance to it. You see these make-believe robots. And even if you look at the let's see, does I have a picture of the kids? Yeah. So it definitely looks very kiddish, but if I does it show the whole, is that all of the board you see? Well, I don't know if you can see what's going on here with this board, but if you're thinking this reminds you of Wingspan, then you are correct, because you have this player board with these spots for cards, and essentially like Wingspan, it's an engine building game where you place these robots in these rows, which I believe makes each action tied to each row stronger. What the actual differences between this and Wingspan are, I am not sure, but I know this was very well received. So if you like the idea of that, or if maybe you like the idea of Wingspan, but maybe with a different, not nature theme, then give Raising Robots a vote. All right. No, we are now to number 20 on the list, and this is Salt. Is it Fjord? Oh, so maybe someone can correct me, but I believe it's Salt Fjord. I believe this takes place in Norway. Let's see. You see. But as the 19th century, in northern Norway. Okay, you've relied on harvesting. In this game, you must decide if you will expand your settlement with new buildings, send your boat to collect fish, and engage in trade or pioneer new technologies to make everyday life easier. I know I think this was released last year, if not the year before, but I know it's a highly, highly regarded game. I like the Norway, or really Scandinavia altogether, is one of those places I would really like to visit. Not necessarily during the winter time, but I know it's supposed to be really beautiful. Let's see, it expands on Santa Maria's unique beloved dice mechanism. So, yeah, that sounds fun. So, yeah, that's Saltfjord. All right, now for our last set of 5 games. First up is Salton Sea, published by De Beer. It's very similar to another game called White Castle in that this is a gamer's game that they have packed into a smaller box, as you can see. But make no mistake, Salton Sea is not a light game. In fact, it's a rather complex game based on the Salton Sea in California. Your company is dedicated to the ecological exploitation of this material, the greatest brine reserves in the USA. This processing allows the production of geothermal energy. So this type of game seems interesting to you. I believe it has multi-use cards where you can either use a card either as money or the action that's printed on them. Everyone has their own board where they can use to, I think, mine, or maybe not mine, or drill for this resource. But anyways, if this sounds interesting to you, give this a vote. All right, next up is Shackleton Base, A Journey to the Moon. I believe these are the same designers as Autobahn, but this one has received a lot of buzz over the last year or two. And what's really neat is in the game, you play with these different, I think these are corporations. You only play with 3 of them. The game comes with, was it 9 or something like that? And I do have the expansion. Again, not going to be playing the expansion for this video if this gets the votes. But anyways, it can add a lot of variability to this game. The idea is I think you're building a base on the moon. So you build structures on the base. Fund projects from these corporations. Interact with them to score the most victory points. So it's a space-themed game. So if that sounds interesting to you, give this a vote. All right, next we have another sea game. This is Shallow Sea, Great Barrier Reef. This is published by Bad Comet Games, who also did Life of the Amazonia, which Christina really liked. But this one has received a lot of buzz over the last year. In this one, you are drafting these tiles, and I think placing these sea life creatures on your own player board. I've heard that it's been compared to Cascadia, which is a very popular game. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with drafting these tiles to put on your board. It's very beautiful. So definitely looking forward to getting this to the table. All right, down to the last 2. Next up is Undergrove, story about fungus by Elizabeth Hargrave and Mark Wooten. For those who might recognize that name, Elizabeth Hargrave designed Wingspan. This game, you're actually playing as a tree. You're sending out your roots and seedlings out in this forest to score points, but it follows the symbiotic relationship between trees and fungus, and so you can add, rather than like in Wingspan where you have like different birds, add them to your own board. Here you can have a small hand of these mushroom tiles, and you can add them to a central area where all the players could possibly use that mushroom to do some do some actions and score points. But you are not, the mushrooms don't necessarily belong to you. You're trying to build your seedlings and eventually your trees out into this forest. So I do like how she is able to take a nature theme and make that theme come alive in a board game. She did this with Mariposas as well, where she captured the migration of monarch butterflies very well. So definitely looking forward to playing this one. And then last but not least is Windmill Valley, designed by Danny Garcia. It's a name that's kind of become more popular in recent years. This game, I think, does it take place in the Netherlands? Yes. There are over 9,000 windmills in the Netherlands, and they're probably built to draw the lowlands, called polders. And in this game, you can collect these tulips and place them in your own player board and score points. I believe each player has this gear mechanism where you rotate the gears. Both of them will rotate at the same time, and I don't know, I think these represent different actions that you can do. You can even customize these wheels. So looks very pretty, looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I know this game was highly regarded, as was a lot of games on this list. So if that looks interesting to you, give Windmill Valley a vote. And that's the list of 25 games. So if you'd like to see gameplays of any game on this list, open the link in the description. You can vote for up to 10 games. And I'll leave this poll up for maybe a week or so. And then I will rank them. The top 7 vote getters will be we will play and then release videos of those gameplays. They're in either the last week of summer or somewhere. Excuse me, somewhere around that time. And the only time I will vote is if there's a tie for 7th place, because that way we can just limit it to just one game each day. And hey, if any game that doesn't make the top 7, that does not mean we will not have it on the channel. I may just release it at another time. I still plan on putting out videos until then. But yeah, with all that being said, God bless you and have fun gaming.